What up, Marsh Pod? Recording this Monday. Talking about there's a precedent being set right now in SimWorld Hoops that is potentially dangerous in the long run, and why we need to be careful in accepting it so openly. Let's do it. All right, recording this Monday night. Good slate of action coming up. A quiet weekend. Did get the thrilling final conclusion to the Originators game, which OGs pulled out the W in a game that if I'm Indy, I don't know what you're appealing, but I wouldn't be happy with that outcome. Having to reset that entire system to play that game, but. I think the biggest news of the weekend was the announcement that Adam Max had been reinstated by the Yacht Club. And I think it's important here to say this was always a team suspension. This was not a suspension that was brought down by the league. So the decision to suspend him originally, keep him suspended, now reinstate him was all based off of the team. And here's why this is a dangerous road that we're walking down and why we need to be careful. Now, I'll put the disclaimer that I'm not somebody who doesn't agree that people should get second chances. They should. You say one dumb thing, you have one series of foolish endeavors. Shouldn't mean you lose every opportunity you have. There are plenty of players in this league and people in this league that have done foolish things and have been able to redeem themselves. So if Adam Max has in fact learned from this, which I believe he probably has, or I hope he has, and that he's moved on and is ready to be a more functioning member of this society, all the better. But we've seen that certainly there are some players that haven't taken that recognition, and we no longer, fortunately, have to deal with them. But here's where it gets a little dicey. The reasoning and the decision by the Yacht Club, you can say any number of things that why you brought him back. But on court, one of the biggest flaws of the Yacht Club roster was they had been completely unable to fill the gap in the size that Adam Max provided them. Now, you look around the league, players are getting cut left and right. People are re-signing. See reasons to believe that Yacht Club could have done the same thing. They could have cut Adam Max. They could have said the suspension, which again, levied by the team, anyone would be able to sign him because it's a team suspension, and they decided to cut him, and they signed him. That would have signed somebody else. That would have been a perfectly reasonable outcome. And why they wouldn't have done that to this point, I don't know. But they didn't. So what this ends up setting up is the precedent that if you are a good enough player and the team needs you enough, you can get away with a lot more. And look, I'm not going to say that that's not true in our society as a whole, beyond the white lines of SimWorld Hoops. It's an unfortunate truth of our society that if you are somebody who matters potentially more to somebody than somebody else, you're going to get away with more. No better example than the late, great Kobe Bryant. The rape allegations that he went through in the early 2000s would have ended plenty of careers, and it didn't end his. He rebounded fine from it. But there are plenty of people, and Kobe's just the first one that comes to mind. There are plenty others that just aren't quickly coming into my mind that faced a similar response. Foolish, got away with it, came back around. It's not me to say that Adam Max can't do it, but what it does is now it shifts most obviously the power into the player's hands. And I think if there's one great thing that SimWorld has so far tried to provide is an environment in which equality exists throughout. That you can be stupid, you can be foolish, and just because of the name on the back of your jersey, the stats you put up, it doesn't matter. Player empowerment in the NBA is a real thing. And I think there's a danger in letting all of that permeate into SimWorld Hoops. But this is the first step, potentially, of player empowerment entering SimWorld Hoops in a very negative way. I think the asking to be traded I don't totally have complete issue with that, though sometimes it can be questioning when they have years left on a contract. But at this point in SimWorld Hoops, we don't have contracts, so that's okay. Eventually we will get there, and it'll be interesting to keep an eye on that development. But if players are now able to act ignorantly to the point that the team decides to suspend them, and if they were a big enough loss, and again, I'm not saying this is the only reason Yacht Club brought it back, but there will be a time when a good enough player says dumb enough things to get themselves suspended, and their team will decide to bring them back because of it. That's a dangerous moment, and this might be the first domino that opens the floodgates towards that. Hopefully, we don't have that encounter, but be foolish to think that that moment could potentially come now because of this decision. Talk to you Tuesday or Thursday.